Mic up. Thank you. Is that LAPD or sheriff coming in? Yep, Manchester approaching Madison.
Time unit, copy.
Oh, welcome everybody. If you're joining us live on Facebook Live or on our ABC7.com app, you're taking a live look at a pursuit that was actually canceled by CHP, but may be underway once again once they can get enough units into position here. We're in South LA, approaching Victory Avenue on Manchester Avenue. It's a silver Ford Expedition that you see there in the center of your screen. Several law enforcement helicopters on the way out here, as well as units on the ground to try and pick up this pursuit once again. It was, again, started in the Compton area, and it was a CHP pursuit. The original one may have been a traffic violation. We're trying to confirm all of those details. He was blacked out for a little while with his lights off. You can see heavily tinted, but his lights are back on. Brake lights and headlights back on. Appears to be stopping for these traffic lights once again. Is basically going with the flow of traffic and not driving too erratically now that he thinks he's lost police. But as you can see, there are several helicopters overhead now with their night sun shining a light on all this, and he is once again aware that he is under the gun here. Just a matter of time before law enforcement shows up behind him. Currently in the Southgate section here, approaching San Gabriel Avenue. We're still on Manchester Avenue. Appears to be continuing eastbound. And all we can see at this point is that the driver in the driver's side window. Unclear yet whether there's a passenger, but we'll come around here momentarily and try and get a better view through that front windshield. There may very well be a passenger in there, but I just can't tell from this vantage point. But the driver now picking up a little bit of speed here. But again, for the most part, traveling with the flow of traffic, doing about 40 miles per hour, and again, continuing eastbound on Manchester Avenue. Police trying their very best to get back into position here. This was, again, a CHP pursuit, but now we have LAPD on the way out here, as well as the LA County Sheriff's Department on the way out here as well. Making a turn here onto Otis Street. And I could also tell you that there's an LA County Sheriff helicopter trying to get in here as well. He's now overhead. So just a matter of time, and I think I said earlier it was a Ford Expedition. It actually looks like a Lincoln Navigator, a silver Lincoln Navigator, and I can't tell if he had the red light there, but he's going through this intersection here, stopping for a couple of pedestrians, and again, hovering between 35 and 40 miles per hour. Looks like that was a red light that he went through there. And again, continuing southbound on Otis Street. You can see, once again, several helicopters overhead now, and that night sun providing a little bit of light for us as we make our way through Southgate here. If he continues southbound, we may see CHP try and pick it up again, but now he's pulling into a shopping center. Looks like it may be, what business is that, Rob? Looks like a T-Mobile shopping center here, and maybe trying to hide out. I was going to say if he continued southbound on Otis, we would eventually hit the 105 freeway as we venture into Linwood, but he's now into a shopping center where he may try to hide out, or maybe has business to conduct here. So we'll see what his plan is, or if he has a destination in mind. No passenger from our vantage point up here, but you can see those rear windows heavily tinted. Definitely giving law enforcement an opportunity to close in on him. So I don't know if that was the wisest move, but definitely now getting back onto Otis Street and continuing southbound. So as I mentioned, we're making our way closer to Linwood. Looks like he's going to make a right on to Tweedy, and the pursuit is on once again. CHP now. Looks like CHP. That's CHP, right, Rob? Yep, CHP back in pursuit. We are on Surface Street, so ultimately we've got county units and LAPD units who will have the prerogative to pick up this pursuit, but this was originally a CHP-initiated pursuit, and they are the ones that have picked it up once again. He is not stopping for this officer here you see behind him and going right over the double yellow lines into oncoming lanes of traffic. Definitely agitated as he now knows that he is under the gun by CHP here, again, back into oncoming lanes of traffic, through a red light, and now driving much more erratically as he is facing some severe consequences once this comes to an end here. Again, we know of at least one driver, at least the driver in that Lincoln Navigator, I should say. Unclear if there's anybody else inside the vehicle, if the suspect is armed, or any of those details. All very, very much up in the air, because as far as we know, this only originally started as a traffic violation. So we'll see what else may be in play here, but he is now doing a circle here in Linwood, or I should say Southgate, back onto Long Beach Boulevard. We've been here before, so he's now Long Beach Boulevard approaching Indiana, and definitely picking up a bit of speed here on these surface streets, going in excess of 60 miles per hour, approaching 70 miles per hour. I only count 1 or 2 units behind him here. Very light traffic. And we're going to continue northbound here through Southgate, eventually coming up on Walnut Park here in South LA. Yeah, he's all over the place. Really? Hey, Christina? Hey, they picked up that other vehicle. Now Pasadena's in pursuit on the 134. Just so you know. Just so you know. Yes. May have heard there. We're actually monitoring 2 pursuits at the moment. You're taking a live look at a CHP pursuit in South. We back on the air? Close call there. Are we back online? No, I mean on the web. Thank you. Left turn here looks like it's going to be 56th Street. All right, we are back online here. If you're joining us live on Facebook Live or on abc.com, you're taking a live look at a CHP Pursuit here in Huntington Park, near South LA. It's a silver Lincoln Navigator, now doing circles in the middle of the street here. This started on the freeway and apparently started as a traffic violation. You can see several CHP units right behind him, now going to make a U-turn with him. Several airships overhead as well, and a number of agencies involved here, including LAPD monitoring and CHP, as well as LA County Sheriff helicopter, all overhead here as this guy continues to drive very, very recklessly through Huntington Park, at times in oncoming lanes of traffic, over the double yellow lines, and posing a severe risk to all of these motorists. Now, traffic is very light as he's in a residential neighborhood, but just a moment ago, he was on Pacific Avenue and driving very, very dangerously as he kind of does a circle through this part of town. Again, unclear if there's anybody else in the vehicle other than the driver. We've got pretty heavily tinted windows on this Lincoln Navigator. He was driving with his lights off for a while and is now, again, has his lights on, headlights and brake lights. Going to come up to another intersection here, going right through the red light. Close call with some other vehicles, some cross traffic there, and once again hitting the gas southbound here on Malabar Street. Again, a very residential neighborhood here in Huntington Park. At times doing speeds close to 65, 70 miles an hour on surface streets, now slowing down a little bit here between 35 and 40 miles per hour. Again, continuing now northbound on Santa Fe Avenue. I've counted only 2 CHP units behind him, but again, as I mentioned, there are several other agencies monitoring this, and there are a number of helicopters overhead here, so this guy is not going to make it very far. You will notice occasionally it does appear that some of these intersections have other black and whites waiting for him, it looks like. But at this point, I've only seen the 2 CHP units with their lights and sirens on, and there is a little bit of a light drizzle falling here in South LA. Again, we're making our way northbound on Santa Fe Avenue through Huntington Park, coming up on Slauson, and he's going to continue northbound here. No signs of slowing down there, doing close to 70 miles per hour now. Very, very fast through this surface street. You can see relative to the other traffic there, he's flying through here, speeds upwards of 80 miles per hour now. All over the paint. No hesitation going into oncoming lanes of traffic, too. We've seen that now a couple of times when CHP was right behind him. We'll go ahead, widen out a little bit now, doing an excess of 90 miles per hour, and you can see CHP has fallen back a little bit. They are now giving this guy a little bit of room to play with. Looks like he's driving very recklessly, very difficult for law enforcement to travel at these speeds through this type of surface street. Again, not a lot of traffic. Traffic is pretty light, but they're going to be very careful. They've already lost him once. They were in pursuit earlier and had to cancel the pursuit because they lost a visual on the suspect. He was just traveling way too dangerously and way too fast to keep up with them. And they had to suspend the pursuit, but they were able to pick it up once again. And that's the situation that we're dealing with here. Very dangerous suspect now going the wrong way on 25th Street, Washington Boulevard, rather. No, 25th Street, westbound on 25th Street, made a left turn from Santa Fe Avenue. Yeah, they're really trying to keep up with him, but they are definitely they have definitely fallen back quite a bit. Wouldn't be all that shocking if they put this back into tracking mode, but you can see CHP has caught up with them once again, about 100 yards back. Ooh. All right, this is still a CHP pursuit. California Highway Patrol has picked up this pursuit for the second time now. I would expect that at some point LAPD will take over, but for now, we've also got Southgate monitoring as well. But for now, CHP is the lead agency in this pursuit. Again, started as a possible traffic violation. The guy refused to stop, failure to yield, and now the pursuit is continuing in excess of 90 miles per hour down Alameda Street. This is going to be southbound Alameda, just passing 55th Street. Very light traffic. Again, a couple of units right behind him, several other units at intersections up ahead. We've seen a couple of close calls as he goes full speed through some of these red lights. Oh! Oh, no! Head-on collision with a number of vehicles there. A head-on collision with several vehicles. There are definitely going to be some injuries here. A violent crash at the intersection of South Alameda Street and Randolph Avenue. You saw he came really close to colliding with some cross traffic, then lost control of the vehicle, went fishtailing through the intersection, and a head-on collision, a violent head-on collision with a number of innocent motorists. The driver still inside the vehicle. They're going to send ambulances out here as soon as possible. Very heavy front-end damage there, both to the vehicle, which is now smoking, a Lincoln Navigator now on fire. It looks like there's smoke coming from under the hood. They're going to call for the fire department, and several injuries now on the opposite side of traffic here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 cars that he slammed into, and just, oh my goodness, a lot of damage down there. We can only hope and pray that those innocent motorists are going to be okay. The driver is now at gunpoint, unclear whether that airbag went off. I would almost guarantee that the airbag did go off. A violent crash here at South Alameda Street and Randolph after a really unnecessary pursuit. This guy was driving so recklessly and so dangerously through this part of town, doing speeds upwards of 80 to 90 miles per hour on this surface street here. We ended up on Alameda Street, and this is just terrible to see here. We'll see what the extent of the injuries are down there, but they're being very cautious, waiting. Before approaching that vehicle, you can see other vehicles now trying to get out of the way here. They want to get everybody out of the way just in case they have to use force. They've got crossfire risk to consider here, and these officers are facing southbound on Alameda Street, just south of Randolph Street. They're now going to close off the intersection up ahead here, but the driver showing no sign of exiting the vehicle, despite the fact that we see some smoke coming from under the hood, and I can almost guarantee you that that airbag was deployed. You can see one of the wheels, looks like the left rear wheel, came flying off of that SUV. That was just a heart-stopping crash, and again, we can only hope that the drivers on the opposite oncoming lanes of traffic are going to be okay here. That was a really fast head-on collision and almost the worst case scenario. The other cars appeared to be stopped for a red light. They were not moving at the time of the crash, but you can see I have not seen any of the drivers come out of that red car near the bottom of your screen or the other vehicle there. I counted at least 4 vehicles that he crashed into, and just a nightmare for CHP here. They want to get to those victims, but they also have to be very careful before they approach that pursuit vehicle. And man, what a situation they have on their hands here. Okay, we do have we do have some of those drivers who have exited their vehicle. Ambulance is on the way out here. A number of people are going to be checked out here by paramedics. But first they have to get the driver out of this vehicle. We presume that it's just a driver. As far as we know, at least one person in that SUV there. It's a silver Lincoln Navigator with very heavy damage. Not only the front end there, but also you can see that wheel flying off and the vehicle coming to a complete stop after losing control at Alameda Street and Randolph. CHP considering a number of options, calling in for a K-9 unit. Again, we're on the southbound side of Alameda Street here in Huntington Park at Randolph Street. CHP in the process of shutting down Alameda Street at Gage up ahead. And you can see a number of troopers now with their, I should say, CHP patrolmen with their guns drawn, aimed squarely at the driver's side of this vehicle. Fire trucks pulling up, I think. What a violent head-on collision that was. Wow. Going off of some of the police scanner traffic that we're hearing, officers there on the ground not seeing any movement coming from that driver's side. Ooh, man, oh man, what a crash that was. Copy, copy. We're good on fuel. Got about an hour 40 total, so we should be good. Getting some good mileage, right? Because we took off. Is that right? Man, we took off at like 9 o'clock. Airbag. Yeah, airbag, and also we saw smoke coming from under the hood too, so there may be smoke coming from the dashboard. What time did we take off? Yeah, I'm looking. About an hour, okay. So I guess that's about right then. Cool. Looks like the airbag obviously is definitely deployed. Where do you see the hole? I'm trying to see what you're seeing. Oh, through the roof. Oh. Wood grain. That's. But all of those kind of have that. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, we're hearing that. Very good eye, Rob. If that is a hole, I think you might be right. I don't. Yep, 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 yep. That's hold that one there, and then yeah, right there you go. There's more. Oof. Wow. I know. I'm still kind of shocked. What a crash that was, though. Man. Christina, if we can before the show, I know it's kind of difficult. I'm listening on the scanner, but if we can tally up a head count of total injuries before we go live, that'd be cool. Yeah, I've gathered about two or three at least, but there is movement. I think he passed out. I have a feeling he passed out, got knocked out by the airbag, maybe waking up now. That condensation actually, by the way, came. He's crazy. Yeah, they're like, look. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. These guys are having a heart attack. Come on, move. This is not good. What? He's gonna have Christina, you're killing me. Unbelievable. Wow. You see movement? All right. All right, well, we've got some movement coming from the driver's seat here. Once again, if you're joining us live on Facebook Live and on abc7.com, this is the termination of a violent crash ending of this pursuit. CHP pursuing the suspect through South LA, through Southgate, and through Huntington Park. This pursuit ending on Alameda Street, southbound side of Alameda at Randolph, between Randolph and Gage. And it was a head-on collision involving several other vehicles, a number of injuries. And it looks like that driver suffered some pretty severe injuries in the process. Looks like that airbag was deployed. He might have been knocked out for a little while. And in the last couple of minutes, we've seen some movement now coming from that driver's side window. You can see he now looks a bit animated. Very heavy front-end damage to that Lincoln Navigator, as well as that left rear wheel that's basically flew off at the time of the head-on collision. A number of resources now on the scene down there. Ambulances, fire trucks. CHP is now at gunpoint with this suspect. A number of agencies involved in this pursuit from the air and on the ground, and now it looks like they are going to have to coax this guy out of here. I saw him slapping the driver's side window. Unclear whether he might not be able to get out if that driver's side door is jammed somehow. He's not able to open the door. That may explain why he's not coming out, but definitely movement now coming from the driver's seat of this Lincoln Navigator. We did see some smoke earlier coming from under the hood, but that has dissipated, and now we've seen some shots fired, may have been less than lethal projectiles going through that rear window. you saw just a couple of seconds ago as I was talking, that left rear window that on the driver's side of the vehicle just shattered, and it's just unclear whether they fired shots or maybe less than non-lethal projectiles through that window. But they are stopping at no expense here to try and get this guy out of the vehicle. They have K-9 units standing by and a number of CHP patrol units now at gunpoint with the suspect. Looks like more projectiles being fired at the vehicle. All right, looks like the driver's now climbed into the back seat, and this is worrisome to say the least. Okay, looks like he's trying to exit the vehicle through the passenger or through that rear window, and certainly hope that he complies with officers' commands here. You see, it looks like he's got his hands up and is ready to give this up. Hands up in the air, the driver now walking backwards. All right. What is he doing? Okay. All right. Looks like he's pulled his wallet out. And they're maybe asking him to take off that vest. All right, officers now asking him to remove his shirt, and just going off of some of the police scanner traffic that we're listening in on, it does appear he is complying. This is exactly what they're telling him to do. He's finally decided to give himself up. I have to presume that following that violent crash, he may have gone unconscious. He may have been knocked out by the power of that airbag, where there was no movement coming from that driver's seat for several minutes. And then, just in the last 5 to 10 minutes, there was movement. He woke up and now has climbed through the rear window of the SUV and is now complying with CHP as he has his hands in the air and is stepping backwards in their direction as they remain with their guns drawn. They have used already less than lethal firearms. Suspect driver now on his hands and knees. He's taking his t-shirt off as well. And here they come. They're going to take him into custody with his hands spread open, and this is now All right, they're going to frisk him and take him into custody here. They still have to clear that vehicle before they declare a code 4 and clear the scene here. Does not appear there's anybody else inside that SUV, but they won't know for sure until they approach the vehicle. There they go. All right, that driver is now in custody, and it looks like this is a code 4 as this violent and crazy pursuit comes to an end here in Huntington Park. As a light rain falls on a Friday night, we're still trying to tally up the injuries associated with that crash, but just a heart-stopping ending to this pursuit that took CHP through Southgate, through Huntington Park. They lost it for a short time, picked it up once again as he zigzagged his way through this area and eventually went through a red light, colliding with a number of oncoming vehicles on Alameda Street. Just a violent and scary pursuit, but fortunately it has come to an end, and we'll again try and get the most updated number of casualties here. Hopefully nobody seriously hurt here. We know of at least 2 or 3 drivers who have been treated and or transported to the hospital by now, and only 1 driver inside that SUV who's now in CHP custody. Yeah. Something going on in the 91. I do want to see it. Here we go. Got it. Swerves. Does he miss both of those? Misses both of them. Close call through the intersection. Loses control. Fishtails through the red light. Yeah. All right, so if you're, again, still with us on Facebook Live and ABC7.com, this is the ending of this